you. We had, as you know, our current nominee to be ambassador to Russia had just formally been, or is currently our ambassador to Armenia. And I just want to underscore some of the comments that Chairman Menendez made at that time. And I'm not even going to ask a question of you at this point in time on this topic. But I do think that in order to be a credible party to any kind of negotiations, we have to call out aggression when we see it. And it was very well documented in September by independent press sources that Azerbaijan launched attacks and also engaged in different kinds of atrocities. And we had a panel of representatives from the State Department a couple weeks ago, I think, Mr. Chairman, and some of us pressed on this very fundamental factual question. Has the United States made a determination about who was the aggressor, and have we made it clear that we agree with all the independent analyses that it was Azerbaijan? And we couldn't get a response. I understand the importance of being a mediator, but in order to be a credible mediator, in my view, you got to at least begin with the facts and be willing to publicly state them. So you'll be heading off to a very important country in a very conflicted part of the world, and I hope you'll be willing to call out the facts as you see them. Ambassador Fisher, great to see you, and congratulations again. And thank you for bringing the report I drafted as a staff member back in, I think, 1988, entitled, I think it was, New Opportunities for U.S. Policy in the Eastern Mediterranean. Some things don't change. I still think there are opportunities, but I think opportunities, again, will only make themselves happen, and even then difficultly, if we're willing to put pressure on different parties here. And I think you've followed probably very closely statements that Erdogan has made and actions he's taken. A little over a year ago, he went to Cyprus. He talked about redeveloping Varosha, which, as you know, is a violation of various UN Security Council resolutions. And he was very brazen about how he said he didn't care what others said. And he won't care as long as no action's taken. And so Senator Menendez and I actually drafted a letter at the time urging the Biden administration to work with our EU partners to make it clear in advance that those kind of actions will be met by some form of sanctions, that there's some penalty, some price to be paid. And if there's not, you know, someone like Erdogan will keep on doing what he's doing. He may do it anyway, but he will certainly do it if there's no price to be paid. So as you head off on this assignment, if confirmed, and I expect you will, can you just talk a little bit about your role in the interagency process? Because whether it's Armenia and related to Azerbaijan and other issues in the region, or whether it's Cyprus, Turkey, Greece, Eastern Med, you're there. We have a very good bilateral relationship now with the Republic of Cyprus. And obviously, your first assignment is to make sure we have strong bilateral relations with the Republic of Cyprus. But beyond that, some of these bigger issues that I know you're going to want to try to challenge, you'll get the Nobel Peace Prize if you do. But no, seriously, you on some of these issues, we've got to be willing to push, and that means you're going to have to be a voice in the interagency process to push the administration. So I want to know if that's something you've done previously and whether that's something you're committed to doing in this case.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Van Hollen. And the report is, it truly is a wonderful reminder, and I'm going to keep it with me. I might ask you to sign it before I leave, because it really is a reminder about how many times we have seen opportunity only to be disappointed, and how many people have wanted to help bring about that comprehensive settlement and have worked so hard. How many Americans have worked in support of that over decades? And so it really was actually a wonderful find, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Let me say, and I will, when it comes to the interagency process, you know, this is a particular skill set that I believe every nominee the State Department sends to you sits here with scars and scar tissue from that process. It's often been compared to a rugby scrum. I'm not sure if that is sufficiently violent, but it is. It is a big part of our job, right, is to be prepared to make the case. And I think every American ambassador, every chief of mission is committed to giving the best possible advice to the interagency that they possibly can. And that means, in many cases, long nights due to time changes, time zones, and these kinds of questions. I am absolutely committed to ensuring that the interagency has the full picture of what is happening in Cyprus, just as I am committed to working with EU colleagues and others to ensure that there are consequences to actions. And I hope that from my record, particularly in my most recent position as Special Envoy to Belarus, that the committee can have confidence that I will not shy away from difficult issues, particularly when they involve international law, particularly when they involve human rights and fundamental freedoms, that these are of paramount importance.
I appreciate that. And, President Biden at one point sat right there where Chairman Menendez is, and I recall him many times talking about justice on Cyprus and needing to push harder. So I think if you can be a strong voice in the interagency process so it can reach the president's ears, that you'll have a willing partner in the president. Mr. Chairman, can I ask one question of the Ms. Spahn, congratulations again. And if you could just give us an update, and I apologize if you already did it. I mean, obviously during COVID, we had to bring everybody home, just about everybody, if not everybody. And I mentioned in my remarks on your behalf that you had helped deploy many of those here at home to fight COVID. Where are we now in returning the Peace Corps personnel to countries around the world?
Thank you for that question. It has been a journey. We did evacuate all volunteers, almost 7,000 volunteers in 8 days amidst the closing of borders and cancellation of flights, which was a real testament to the relationships that Peace Corps has on the ground and our ability to move quickly in times of emergency. We are currently have volunteers in 45 countries. We are inviting volunteers back to 56 countries. And we have around 900 volunteers in the field right now. We are building up gradually and very intentionally as we test our safety and security protocols, both for the volunteers and for the communities that they serve. This is an evolving picture as we move from pandemic to endemic. Here in the United States, the picture is very different in every country around the world. So we have very strong systems in place to monitor those conditions. I was just in the Philippines where they just lifted the mask mandate outdoors. So, our teams there have been supporting COVID vaccination efforts and moves towards normalcy, but we are very aware that different countries have different healthcare systems and different abilities to respond should there be, another wave that comes along. So I have tremendous confidence in the protocols that we have put in place, and we will begin deploying more rapidly, after those first groups go back.
Great. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So let me return to Ms. Fisher.